Towering high above the forests, rivers, and valleys of Northern California, Mount Shasta dominates the landscape like a sentinel from another world. With its snow-capped summit rising to 4,322 meters, it is not just one of the tallest peaks in the Cascade Range. It is one of the most enigmatic and myth-infused mountains on Earth. For centuries, this dormant stratovolcano has inspired a diverse range of legends, spiritual beliefs, and unexplainable phenomena. Native American tribes have revered Mount Shasta as a sacred place, a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms. Later, 19th and 20th century mystics would claim it as the home of a hidden city, built by survivors of the lost continent of Lemuria. In more recent decades, the mountain has attracted UFO enthusiasts, crystal healers, and New Age seekers, all drawn by tales of interdimensional portals, ascended masters, and unseen energies. But what is it about this mountain that exerts such a powerful hold on the imagination? From ancient traditions to modern conspiracies, Mount Shasta has become a nexus of myth and mystery, a place where science and spirituality collide, where natural beauty masks deeper secrets. This is not just a mountain, it is a living legend. People report otherworldly encounters, inexplicable lights, and visions that defy logic. For some, it is a spiritual awakening. For others, a riddle that remains unsolved. In this documentary, we will venture deep into the stories, symbols, and speculations surrounding Mount Shasta. We'll examine the sacred beliefs of indigenous peoples, the mysterious lore of Lemurians and hidden cities, strange sightings in the sky, and the mountain's undeniable pull on those seeking healing, enlightenment, or hidden knowledge. Whether you approach it as a geologist, a mystic, a skeptic, or a seeker, one truth remains. Mount Shasta refuses to be ordinary. It rises not just from the earth, but from the very edge of the known world. Long before explorers, settlers, and spiritual seekers arrived in the region, Mount Shasta stood as a silent guardian in the traditions of the indigenous peoples of Northern California. To the Native American tribes who lived in its shadow, the Wintu, Shasta, Modoc, Karuk, and Klamath, the mountain was not simply a geographical landmark. It was a living, breathing entity. Sacred, powerful, and deeply revered, Mount Shasta was seen as the dwelling place of gods, spirits, and ancient forces that shaped the very fabric of existence. According to the oral traditions of the Wintu tribe, Mount Shasta was the home of the great spirit known as Skell. This divine being descended from the heavens to protect humanity and do battle with the forces of darkness. Skell's cosmic rival, the spirit Lao, was believed to reside in what is now Crater Lake in Oregon. The two engaged in an epic war, hurling fire and stone at each other across the land. These celestial battles were not just myth. They were the tribe's explanation for the fiery eruptions and volcanic activity that once shook the earth beneath their feet. The Klamath people shared similar beliefs, describing Mount Shasta as a sacred center of spiritual energy. They believed the mountain served as a doorway between this world and the next, a sacred bridge through which spirits could pass. Shamans would ascend its slopes to seek visions and guidance from the spirit world. The mountain, cloaked in clouds and capped with eternal snow, seemed to touch the sky and pierce the veil of the unknown. The Modoc spoke of otherworldly lights appearing on the mountain, of strange sounds echoing through its canyons, and of ancient beings that resided within its hidden depths. Even today, some tribal elders refuse to speak casually about Mount Shasta, holding firm to the belief that it is a place to be approached with humility and reverence. Importantly, for these indigenous communities, the stories of Mount Shasta were never simply legends in the way outsiders might interpret them. They were, and still are, expressions of deep spiritual truth, cultural identity, and an intimate relationship with the land. The mountain was a source of life, a place of vision quests, and a sacred teacher. Its snowmelt nourished the rivers, its forests sheltered game, and its presence served as a constant reminder of the mysteries that lie just beyond the edge of human understanding. Even today, despite the influx of modern beliefs and tourism, the indigenous peoples of Northern California continue to honor Mount Shasta with ceremonies, dances, and traditions passed down through generations. To them, the mountain is not just an ancient relic of the past, it is alive, potent, and sacred still. As the 19th century gave way to the early 20th, Mount Shasta began to take on a new layer of mystery. one that departed from native traditions and emerged from the minds of spiritualists, mystics, and esoteric thinkers. This was the era when tales of lost continents and forgotten civilizations gained traction, and among the most enduring of these was the myth of Lemuria. The idea of Lemuria began as a scientific hypothesis. In the mid-1800s, British zoologist Philip Sclater proposed the existence of a sunken landmass in the Indian Ocean to explain the puzzling distribution of lemur fossils across Madagascar, India, and Southeast Asia. He called this theoretical continent Lemuria. Though the scientific community later dismissed the theory with the rise of plate tectonics and continental drift, the name took on a second life in the hands of occult writers and theosophists. Lemuria evolved into more than just a hypothetical land. It became a symbol of a spiritually advanced and harmonious civilization that predated Atlantis. Theosophist Helena Blavatsky and her followers claimed that Lemurians were the third root race of humanity, beings of great wisdom, telepathic ability, and profound spiritual insight. They were said to possess technologies and knowledge lost to the modern world. And when their continent was swallowed by the sea, survivors fled to various parts of the earth. One of the places these Lemurian refugees supposedly settled was deep beneath the slopes of Mount Shasta. The idea gained widespread popularity with the posthumous publication of Frederick Spencer Oliver's book, A Dweller on Two Planets, in 1905. In it, Oliver claimed to have channeled information from a spirit being named Philos the Thebetan, who described a subterranean city beneath Mount Shasta called Telos. According to the narrative, Telos was not just a city, but a utopian haven, a vast crystalline metropolis illuminated by perpetual inner light and inhabited by tall, graceful Lemurians dressed in flowing robes. They lived in peace and harmony, having transcended war, disease, and poverty. These Lemurians, the story claimed, still existed and occasionally revealed themselves to worthy individuals. Witnesses described seeing ethereal beings gliding through the forest, disappearing into solid rock, or vanishing suddenly into mist. Some told of mysterious footprints in the snow that led to nowhere, or strange singing heard on the mountain during nights of full moon. By the 1930s, the legend had firmly taken root, bolstered by the writings of Guy Ballard, a mining engineer who claimed to have encountered an ascended master named Saint Germain while hiking on Mount Shasta. This encounter gave birth to the I Am activity, a spiritual movement that blended theosophy with Christian mysticism and introduced a pantheon of enlightened beings who supposedly guided humanity from behind the veil. Saint Germain, said to be immortal and omniscient, was often linked to the Lemurian legacy and was believed to reside in Telos alongside other advanced beings. In these stories, Mount Shasta became more than a sacred mountain. It became a hidden sanctuary, a portal to another world. For believers, it was a place of immense energy and consciousness, guarded by beings who had mastered the secrets of the universe. The mountain's volcanic structure, its remote location, and its magnetic presence all fed into the idea that it was not what it seemed on the surface. Skeptics, of course, dismissed these accounts as elaborate fiction, fueled by imagination and the desire for mystery in an increasingly rational world. Yet the consistency of the stories and the passionate conviction of those who told them gave the legends a stubborn persistence. People came from around the globe hoping to catch a glimpse of Telos, or to communicate with the Lemurians through meditation, dreams, or channeled writings. As the 20th century progressed and the mysteries of Mount Shasta continued to unfold, a new wave of intrigue began to surround the mountain, one that would link its legacy to the stars. The shift from ancient civilizations to extraterrestrial visitors added a modern, otherworldly dimension to the mythology. With each passing decade, stories of UFO sightings, strange lights in the sky, and unexplained aerial phenomena became more frequent, weaving Mount Shasta into the global tapestry of cosmic mysteries. It began subtly, with whispers from hikers and campers who had witnessed orbs of glowing light darting across the night sky above the mountain. At first, these reports were dismissed as misidentified aircraft, weather balloons, or the tricks of thin mountain air on the human eye. But then the sightings grew stranger and harder to ignore. People described disc-shaped craft moving with unnatural precision, making abrupt turns at impossible speeds, or hovering silently before vanishing in a flash of light. Some claimed these objects disappeared directly into the mountain itself, suggesting the existence of hidden entrances or underground bases. Others spoke of beams of light emerging from the summit, pulsing rhythmically into the clouds like signals being transmitted to the cosmos. Many of these accounts came from seemingly reliable sources: former military personnel, pilots, park rangers, and longtime residents. Over time, Mount Shasta became a recognized hotspot in the global UFO phenomenon, joining the ranks of other mysterious locations like Area 51, Sedona's vortexes, and England's crop circles. But the stories didn't stop with lights in the sky. Numerous visitors to Mount Shasta have reported encounters with mysterious beings, not just the Lemurians of old legend, but tall, glowing figures with distinctly non-human features. Descriptions varied, but common themes included beings with elongated skulls, glowing eyes, or radiant auras. Some claim these beings communicated telepathically, offering messages of peace, awakening, and the urgent need for humanity to evolve. For some, these encounters occurred during deep meditation or altered states of consciousness brought on by the mountain's reputed energetic field. Others, however, reported these events during waking hours, while hiking, camping, or simply staring at the stars from a quiet trail. Many of these individuals had no prior belief in extraterrestrial life and were shaken by the profound intensity of what they experienced. One particularly famous case is that of Pauline Pierce, who in the 1960s claimed to have witnessed a large metallic craft descend near Panther Meadow, a sacred area on the mountain often associated with spiritual visions. Her account, though widely debated, became a cornerstone of local UFO lore and was frequently cited by other experiencers who claimed to have seen similar craft in the same location. Adding to the mystique are the claims of missing time. Visitors have recounted hours-long gaps in memory after hiking or camping near the mountain. In some cases, individuals woke up in different locations than where they had fallen asleep, unable to explain how they got there. Others reported intense dreams of being aboard spacecraft or of receiving strange symbols and knowledge during their missing time. Some researchers and conspiracy theorists have speculated that Mount Shasta may be the site of a hidden extraterrestrial base, cloaked by natural camouflage or located deep beneath the mountain's volcanic rock. The theory is that advanced civilizations, either Lemurian, alien, or a combination of both, continue to monitor human development, offering guidance to the spiritually awakened and remaining invisible to the rest. This idea was reinforced by spiritual channelers and psychics, many of whom claimed to receive messages from beings who identified themselves as Pleiadians, Arcturians, or other galactic entities. These messages often emphasize themes of planetary healing, cosmic unity, and the importance of Mount Shasta as a galactic beacon, a node of high-frequency energy that connects Earth to other worlds. Skeptics and scientists naturally view these stories through a critical lens. Atmospheric conditions, such as ice crystals, magnetic anomalies, and optical illusions, may explain some of the reported lights. Others suggest that high-altitude military tests could be behind the sightings, especially given the region's proximity to military training zones in the western United States. Still, the consistency and emotional intensity of the accounts make them difficult to dismiss entirely. What stands out in all these narratives is a sense of awe, wonder, and transformation. For those who claim to have seen UFOs or encountered beings on Mount Shasta, the experience is often described as life-changing. It shifts their perception of reality, expands their sense of what is possible, and ignites a deeper spiritual journey. As the legends of Lemuria and tales of strange aerial phenomena swirled around Mount Shasta, the mountain began to attract a new kind of visitor. Those not seeking gold, land, or adventure, but spiritual transformation. In the latter half of the 20th century and into the 21st, Mount Shasta evolved into something more than a sacred relic or a supernatural curiosity. It became a destination for spiritual pilgrims, a magnetic force drawing seekers from around the world in search of healing, awakening, and connection. To many in the New Age movement, Mount Shasta is not merely a mountain, but a living spiritual vortex, a site of heightened energy, cosmic alignment, and multidimensional access. These vortexes, according to belief, are places where the Earth's magnetic field is especially strong or pure, and where the veil between physical reality and higher realms is unusually thin. Mount Shasta, in this view, functions like a spiritual beacon, transmitting waves of divine energy to those ready to receive it. Over the years, spiritual teachers, energy healers, crystal enthusiasts, Yogis and channelers have made their way to the mountain. Some come seeking solitude and communion with nature. Others arrive as part of organized retreats, hoping to align their chakras, activate their light bodies, or receive downloads from ascended masters. For these visitors, the mountain is a kind of cosmic university, a place where higher knowledge becomes accessible through meditation, intention, and openness of heart. The town of Mount Shasta itself has embraced this identity. A quiet alpine community nestled at the base of the Great Peak, it has become home to metaphysical bookstores, crystal shops, healing centers, and spiritual retreat houses. Street signs point to sacred springs. Flyers advertising workshops on astral travel, Lemurian healing, and galactic consciousness flutter on bulletin boards in cafes and shops. Conversations about ascension, karma, and past lives are as common here as talk of the weather. Each summer, the area hosts festivals and gatherings that celebrate the solstices and equinoxes. These events often include drumming circles, sound baths, sacred geometry meditations, group hikes to energetic hotspots like Panther Meadow or Castle Lake, and ceremonies meant to honor the earth and call in divine light. These gatherings foster a sense of global spiritual community, transcending religious and cultural boundaries. Central to many of these practices is the belief in the ascended masters, spiritual beings who have transcended the physical plane and now guide humanity from higher dimensions. Mount Shasta, according to this tradition, is not only their meeting place but their earthly base of operations. Saint Germain, the master associated with alchemy, transformation, and the violet flame of transmutation, is one of the most frequently invoked figures in Mount Shasta lore. Followers claim to receive his guidance through dreams, meditations, or channeled messages. Other channeled beings include representatives of galactic federations, Lemurian elders, and spiritual avatars from Atlantis and beyond. The messages are often filled with themes of peace, unity, planetary healing, and the rise of a new age of consciousness. For those who believe, Mount Shasta is the heart chakra of the world, a sacred place whose energies radiate love, wisdom, and healing across the globe. Not all spiritual experiences on the mountain involve grand visions or otherworldly contact. Many visitors speak simply of feeling deep peace, clarity of thought, and a sense of inner alignment while walking the forest trails or sitting beside the headwaters of the Sacramento River. Some say their chronic illnesses eased after time on the mountain. Others credit it with helping them through grief, depression, or emotional stagnation. Whether these experiences are the result of environment, belief, or something more mystical is open to interpretation. But their impact is real. Of course, the influx of spiritual tourism has also raised important questions. Indigenous tribes in the region have voiced concern over the appropriation of their sacred sites and rituals. Panther Meadow in particular, a place of great spiritual significance to the Wintu people, has suffered environmental damage from the sheer volume of visitors. Tribal elders have asked that the sanctity of the land be respected, reminding people that not all sacred spaces are open to everyone. Despite this tension, many local efforts are being made to foster respect and dialogue between spiritual visitors and indigenous communities. Workshops on cultural sensitivity, guided tours with tribal representatives, and land stewardship initiatives are beginning to bridge the gap between ancient tradition and modern spiritual exploration. Beneath the swirling legends, spiritual beliefs, and fantastical claims that surround Mount Shasta lies a mountain formed by powerful ancient forces. Forces that are very real, measurable, and awe-inspiring in their own right. While it is often mythologized as a spiritual beacon or interdimensional portal, Mount Shasta is, first and foremost, a remarkable geological formation. To understand its full mystery, one must also explore the science of the mountain, which is no less fascinating than the myths it inspires. Mount Shasta is a stratovolcano, part of the Cascade Range that stretches from British Columbia down through Washington, Oregon, and into Northern California. This chain of mountains was born from the intense tectonic activity along the boundary where the Juan de Fuca Plate subducts beneath the North American Plate. As these massive slabs of the Earth's crust collide and interact deep underground, magma rises through the fractures, sometimes breaking through the surface in spectacular eruptions that shape the very face of the land. Towering at 14,179 feet, 4,122 meters, Mount Shasta is the second highest peak in the Cascades and the fifth highest in California. But what sets it apart is how dramatically it rises from the surrounding terrain. Unlike many mountain ranges that emerge gradually, Mount Shasta soars almost 10,000 feet above the surrounding valley floor, a towering giant that seems to emerge from nowhere, stark and majestic. Geologists believe the mountain is relatively young, geologically speaking, only about 593,000 years old. It consists of 4 overlapping volcanic cones, each representing different phases of eruptive activity. The most recent cone, known as the Hotlam cone, formed during the last major eruptive cycle around 8,000 years ago. The mountain's last recorded eruption occurred in 1786, and although it has remained quiet since, it is still considered an active volcano by the United States Geological Survey, USGS. This dormant status, however, is not a guarantee of eternal silence. Shasta is capable of future eruptions, and geologists continue to monitor the region closely for seismic activity, gas emissions, and changes in geothermal patterns. The surrounding area includes volcanic domes, lava flows, cinder cones, and pyroclastic deposits, offering a rich canvas of geological features that tell the story of a volatile and ever-changing Earth. One of Mount Shasta's most striking features is its extensive glacial system. Despite being located in California, the mountain is home to 7 glaciers, including the Whitney Glacier, the longest in the state. These glaciers slowly carve the mountain's flanks, feeding streams and rivers that provide water to thousands of people downstream. The headwaters of the Sacramento River, which begin at the base of the mountain, are considered some of the purest in the United States, sacred not only in myth, but in ecological fact. The volcanic caves and lava tubes in the region also add to the mountain's mystique. While there's no evidence to support the existence of a vast subterranean city like Telos, there are indeed vast underground passages formed not by Lemurian architects, but by flowing lava. These tubes once served as conduits for molten rock, but today they are the domain of cavers and researchers fascinated by the mountain's subterranean secrets. Interestingly, the mountain's commanding presence and frequent cloud formations often give rise to natural phenomena that, to the untrained eye, can seem otherworldly. Lenticular clouds, for example, are smooth, saucer-shaped clouds that frequently appear near Mount Shasta due to the unique interplay of air currents around its summit. These clouds hover like UFOs in the sky, fueling further speculation and sightings. Scientists see a beautiful meteorological process at work, but to others, it looks like an alien spacecraft hiding in plain sight. Mount Shasta also plays a crucial role in the region's ecosystem. Its elevation supports a wide range of microclimates and biodiversity, from dense coniferous forests at lower elevations to alpine tundra near the summit. This rich ecological variety supports deer, bears, eagles, and countless plant species, some of which are endemic to the mountain itself. In this sense, Shasta is more than a geological marvel. It is a living landscape teeming with life and serving as a vital refuge in a changing climate. Despite all the scientific data collected about Mount Shasta, its rock formations, its eruptive history, its seismic behavior, there remain elements that cannot be easily quantified. The intense emotional and spiritual reactions that people report while visiting the mountain are not easily explained by geology. Some researchers suggest that natural geomagnetic anomalies might influence human perception or neurological function, creating sensations of euphoria, connection, or altered consciousness. While these theories are still speculative, they offer a possible bridge between the empirical and the experiential. Mount Shasta is not only a geological marvel or a spiritual destination, it is a cultural symbol, one that has rippled through books, music, film, art, and modern mythology. Over the decades, the mountain's mystique has transcended its physical boundaries, embedding itself in the cultural imagination as a place of hidden truths, ancient wisdom, and cosmic mystery. Writers and spiritualists were among the first to shape Mount Shasta's cultural identity. Frederick Spencer Oliver's A Dweller on Two Planets was one of the earliest and most influential works to introduce the concept of Lemurian civilization beneath the mountain. Though published in 1905, the book continues to be referenced in metaphysical circles and remains a foundational text for many who believe in the lost city of Telos. As the 20th century unfolded, more books and pamphlets expanded on these esoteric themes. Guy Ballard's unveiled mysteries and the teachings of the I Am movement in the 1930s helped elevate Mount Shasta from a regional curiosity to an international beacon for spiritual seekers. Ballard's encounters with the ascended master Saint Germain and his descriptions of divine teachings received on the mountain became part of a broader mystical narrative that captured the imagination of thousands. Soon, Mount Shasta was no longer just a location. It was a character, a sacred stage where divine drama played out, where cosmic truths could be accessed by those who dared to believe. Popular media caught on to this allure. Numerous documentaries, podcasts, and television specials have featured Mount Shasta in the context of UFO phenomena, ancient civilizations, and paranormal mysteries. It has been highlighted on shows such as Ancient Aliens, Unexplained Mysteries, and Gaia TV, each offering a mix of historical legend, speculation, and eyewitness testimony. These programs often blend interviews with mystics and locals with cinematic shots of the mountain itself, shrouded in mist and mystery. In the digital age, YouTube channels dedicated to spiritual exploration, conspiracy theories, and metaphysics have made Mount Shasta a recurring subject of fascination. From amateur investigators to seasoned researchers, the internet has become a fertile ground for sharing stories of encounters, channelings, and theories. Some claim the mountain is a dimensional gate. Others see it as a natural stargate, a place where one might cross over to parallel realms or even make contact with beings from other planets. Mount Shasta's presence in literature is equally profound. It appears in spiritual memoirs, fantasy novels, and speculative fiction. Authors from different genres have used the mountain as a symbol of mystery and revelation. In many of these stories, it stands as a place where the veil between reality and the unknown is thinnest. A setting where ancient knowledge sleeps beneath layers of snow and silence. Musicians, too, have felt the pull of Shasta. Its name and energy have been invoked in songs across genres, from folk and ambient to rock and electronic. These works often describe the mountain in poetic terms, portraying it as a place of ascension, rebirth, or otherworldly light. For some artists, Mount Shasta is not just a backdrop, but a muse, a sacred mountain that channels something primal and creative. Visual artists and filmmakers have also turned to Shasta as a source of inspiration. Its solitary grandeur, snow-capped peak, and changing moods offer a rich visual palette. Paintings, installations, and digital artworks often depict it not just as a physical mountain, but as a cosmic anchor, a gateway to the divine, or a symbol of inner elevation. Even fashion and design have subtly echoed Mount Shasta's themes, especially in New Age subcultures. Symbols associated with the mountain, crystals, sacred geometry, Lemurian motifs, have found their way into clothing, jewelry, and home decor, serving as aesthetic expressions of spiritual identity. However, not all cultural impact has been celebratory or purely imaginative. Some critics have pointed out that the commercialization of Mount Shasta's mystique can cheapen or misrepresent the deep spiritual and indigenous significance of the site. The blending of New Age ideologies with ancient Native American traditions has sparked debate about cultural appropriation and historical distortion. While many spiritual pilgrims come with respect and reverence, the merging of mythologies, Lemurian, extraterrestrial, indigenous, sometimes blurs lines that are sacred to the original inhabitants of the region. Mount Shasta's mystique has not only attracted spiritual seekers, UFO enthusiasts, and myth lovers, but has also become a significant driver of the local economy. Tourism centered around the mountain supports the small towns nestled at its base, including the city of Mount Shasta, Weed, and Dunsmuir, as well as numerous rural communities throughout Siskiyou County. For many residents, the mountain is more than a backdrop. It is a vital source of livelihood, shaping their identity and daily lives. Each year, thousands of visitors arrive seeking the mountain's natural beauty, spiritual energy, and mysterious allure. From hikers tackling the strenuous climb to the summit, to those who prefer gentle walks in the surrounding forests, the mountain offers a variety of recreational opportunities. Trails lead through lush pine groves, alpine meadows, and alongside pristine mountain lakes, providing access for outdoor enthusiasts of all kinds. The influx of tourists has fostered a thriving hospitality industry. Hotels, bed and breakfasts, campgrounds, and vacation rentals fill the area, catering to those drawn by Mount Shasta's promise of renewal and adventure. Local businesses have adapted to serve this unique clientele, offering everything from outdoor gear and guided tours to metaphysical supplies, crystal shops, and wellness centers. Many visitors come specifically for spiritual retreats, workshops, and festivals. These events bring in large numbers of people during peak seasons, contributing substantially to the local economy. Practitioners of yoga, meditation, energy healing, and alternative therapies find in Mount Shasta an ideal environment to practice and teach. Spiritual tourism here is not just a niche, it is a flourishing market. Yet this economic benefit comes with its own challenges. The seasonal nature of tourism means that many businesses experience fluctuations, with bustling summers and quieter winters. The increased traffic has raised concerns about environmental degradation, including trail erosion, litter, and disruption to wildlife habitats. Local authorities and community groups have implemented conservation measures to protect sensitive areas, balancing visitor access with sustainability. Residents of the region have diverse perspectives on the mountain and the tourism it attracts. Some welcome the economic opportunities and cultural exchange, appreciating the influx of new ideas and people. Others express frustration over overcrowding, traffic congestion, and the commercialization of a landscape they consider sacred. Particularly sensitive is the relationship between the spiritual tourism industry and the indigenous communities whose ancestral lands encompass Mount Shasta. Tribal members have voiced concern that sacred sites are sometimes treated as tourist attractions, stripped of their deeper meaning. Efforts are underway to educate visitors about respecting the mountain's cultural heritage and to involve tribes in decisions about land use and tourism management. Local governments and nonprofit organizations have partnered to promote responsible tourism, emphasizing leave-no-trace principles and cultural sensitivity. Interpretive centers, guided tours led by tribal representatives, and informational signage aim to foster respect and awareness among visitors. Despite the complexities, Mount Shasta remains a beacon for those seeking connection with nature, spirit, and community. The mountain shapes not only the landscape, but the lives of those who live in its shadow. For locals, it is a constant presence, a force of nature that commands respect and inspires pride. Mount Shasta defies simple definition. It is at once a towering geological wonder, a sacred site steeped in indigenous reverence, a cradle of mystical legends, and a magnet for modern spiritual seekers. Across centuries and cultures, the mountain has worn many faces, each layer adding complexity to its enduring mystery. To the ancient tribes of Northern California, Mount Shasta was a bridge to the spirit world, a place where the divine intersected with the earthly. Their stories of powerful gods, cosmic battles, and sacred energies continue to echo through time, reminding us of humanity's oldest connections to the land and sky. Later, the myth of Lemuria and the tales of a hidden city beneath the mountain invited new possibilities, suggesting that beneath the snow and stone lay not just ancient earth, but a gateway to lost civilizations and hidden wisdom. These stories captured imaginations and sparked spiritual movements that still thrive today. The mountain skies have been a canvas for strange lights, unexplained phenomena, and encounters that challenge our understanding of reality. Whether interpreted as extraterrestrial visitation or the workings of natural forces beyond our current science, these accounts deepen the sense that Mount Shasta exists at the intersection of worlds. For many who journey there now, the mountain is a sanctuary for healing, awakening, and transcendence. It serves as a powerful vortex of energy, a place where seekers reconnect with the universe and themselves. This spiritual pilgrimage, layered with ancient tradition and modern insight, forms a vibrant tapestry of experience that transcends time and culture. Science grounds us in the mountain's physical reality, the fiery magma beneath its surface, the glaciers that shape its slopes, the ecosystems it sustains. Yet even in geology, there is wonder. A reminder that the forces that carved Mount Shasta are part of a grand cosmic dance. In the stories told, the experiences shared, and the reverence shown, Mount Shasta emerges as more than a mountain. It is a multi-dimensional phenomenon, a symbol of Earth's power, humanity's longing, and the mysteries that lie beyond the edge of knowledge. Whether one approaches it with skepticism or faith, science or spirituality, Mount Shasta invites us to explore not only the world outside, but the worlds within. It challenges us to embrace wonder, respect, and curiosity, to recognize that some places hold secrets too profound to be confined to a single explanation. Mount Shasta stands as a timeless sentinel, a mountain of many dimensions, waiting patiently to reveal its truths to those who listen deeply, look closely, and dare to believe in the extraordinary.